because we know this is how it should look. And now it's not looking like this. Okay, something is not right.
That right there, the how it should look, that
Yeah.
sentence has created more misery than you even know.
Hello, hello everyone. Elle Ballard is here today with my guest Alysia Lyons. Hi Alysia,
Hi, how
welcome.
are you?
I'm doing great. This is Empowered Global Women in Business podcast, and I'm excited for this conversation. Alysia Lyons is a mom first, a life coach, and an author second. She helps overwhelmed moms ditch guilt, reclaim the joy of motherhood, and find balance without adding more to their to-do lists. Oh, I love it. Don't want to add more to my to-do list for sure. Well, tell us how your journey started. Why did you choose this field?
Yeah, I always knew that I wanted to work with moms. When I finally admitted that I wanted to be a coach, I always knew that I wanted to work with moms. I didn't know about what until I had my own kind of guilt release.
Mhm.
But my story kind of starts back in, oh Lord, 20, I want to say 2014, 2013, when I essentially lost everything that I was proud of in a matter of 6 months. So I had outsourced all of my self-esteem to external things. And then one
Ah.
by one, each of those external things went away. And
Mhm.
so I found myself in what I called the pit of despair because I didn't know who I was anymore. I wasn't happy in my situation. I was questioning my ability to be a parent. One of the things that I had lost that I could control getting back was getting back into the position I was with the direct sales company I was in.
Mhm.
And I was in the top 2%. And I was like, well, I can control getting back into that. So I tried and I kept trying and I was not succeeding. And I found a coach who works with women in this company. And I fell in love with the coaching side of it. And I hired a coach and I was like, I think I want to do this, but I don't really want to do this. I'm not going to tell people I want to do this, but I kind of want to do this. Kind of one of those things I'm sure people can relate. When I went to this coaching certification program, I one of the tools that they demonstrate is releasing guilt and shame, and they demonstrate it by asking somebody in the crowd who's got some guilt they want to release. And reluctantly, I raised my hand. Afterwards, I felt like there was this 50 pounds of weight that had been
Ah.
released from my body. And
Mm.
so then when I started talking to moms, I thought, I was like, there's guilt everywhere. I just hear mom guilt everywhere. And at the time, I had way more confidence in my writing ability than in my speaking ability. And so I wrote a book, Good Mom Rules, Ditch Mom Guilt, and Find Your Happy. And so as time has gone by, obviously I became more comfortable in my speaking voice. But I wanted people to have the information that was in my head that I knew could help them. And so that's why I started with the book. As time has gone by, I've just realized that the things that moms are struggling with is a lot of guilt and overwhelm and also fear. I think fear is something that a lot of
Yeah.
moms are struggling with too. That's what I do. That's what I help with.
Wow. So this really grew from your own story, from your own experience of going through it. Wow.
Yeah.
And so just and how amazing that you actually raised your hand, because that takes courage in itself in the room, eh, to be able to share vulnerably, because it is a vulnerable topic for mothers, right? So just to make sure, when we talk about guilt, what are we talking about? Like, what type of guilt? Or is it related to kids? Is it related to us? Or anything and everything in between? Or
Yeah, that's a really good question. So the way that I break guilt down for people is that guilt is a notification. And it's letting you know that your actions or inactions are out of alignment with what you believe that a good mom does in relation
yes.
to mom guilt. So we all have hats that we wear, guilt can be created inside any of those roles. But it's always a notification that our actions or inactions are out of alignment with our values and what we believe a good person in this role, a good mom, a good daughter, a good sister does. We think of it as like, I'm a bad person because I feel guilty,
Because, yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah,
When in reality it's just there to tell you, hey, something's not right. So the most common thing that mompreneurs feel guilty about is they feel guilty when they're working, and then they feel guilty when they're not. Because when you own a business, there's always something to do.
always.
And we a lot of times we get into business because we want to be present for our kids. So
Yes.
we got all this stuff that takes our time here in business, but our core value was to be with the kids.
To be
So
with them
yeah,
more. And it's
yeah,
conflicting. Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
So we can't be in two places at once. So
Yes.
we just have this rule that says a good mom should be home with her kids or should be present 24/7 with their children. So we have some unrealistic values that we need to address when we get that guilt notification.
Yeah. And where did that come from that we have to be with our kids 24/7? Is it because of the, safety that we hear? I grew up both with both parents working always. And I don't know, maybe my mom had it. I never had that conversation with her. Maybe she had the same. I remember though, growing up, we had to provide because both of my for ourselves as kids. What I mean, like if I'm hungry, I'm gonna find something for me to eat and things like that. I remember both of them being busy in working. Now, when I started working, I remember feeling this guilt that because I'm in the office working, I'm this is a time away from my kids. Now then I also left corporate and started business on a side where I still was busy. And then I was asking myself, okay, so I am working, doing business, and I can go to lunch to be with my kid, but I could do a lot of it on the phone with my kid in the car. Does that mean I am with my kid because I'm not present with them, right? I'm there physically, but I'm not there. I feel like there's always little things to it, and we are so complex, right? Like the way we think, the way we, the habit of being exactly like you shared, conflicting, because we know this is how it should look. And now it's not looking like this. Okay, something is not right.
That right there, the how it should look, that
Yeah.
sentence has created more misery than you even know.
Yes. Yes.
I was
Yes.
talking to a mom yesterday about her relationship with her children's father, and they're now divorced. And she said the way that her father should be. If I could take one word and concept out of the English language, it would be should.
Should.
We
Yes.
there's we have an idea of what it should look like. So I didn't go in the details of my story, but like I didn't become a mom because I desperately wanted to have a child and be a mom. I spent 10 years of my life not wanting to be a mom,
Yeah.
not wanting to have kids. I wanted to be a family. And so when we got divorced, there was a lot of guilt and overwhelm and irritation and frustration that created this pit of despair because that's not what it should have been. That's not what it was supposed to be, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I embraced the reality of what is, okay,
Hmm.
we're not getting back together. This is not my reality anymore. I have to redefine family. So you started to ask a question like, where does it come from? I think that a lot of ways that it comes from is we don't know our values. Number one, we
Hmm.
don't have really good boundaries with ourselves or our businesses. The way that we do parenting and family in the United States, in the Western cultures, is different than how it's always been done. We've always had a community, a village to raise children. We've always had that. And then all of a sudden, we don't have that anymore. You know, it's in the water. We're seeing what other moms are doing on social media. That can create a lot of guilt. We're comparing ourselves to our moms. Like, I when I was in my direct sales business, I used to tell people I didn't always know that I wanted to be a mom, but I did know that if I was going to be a mom, I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. That wasn't
Okay.
ever my
Yeah.
dream, not
Yeah.
once. That was
Hmm.
my dream when I heard my recruiter say she always wanted to be a mom. And so I just modified what she said. We pick things up. Like my mom
Yes.
wasn't a stay-at-home mom. And I never asked her if she felt guilty about working outside of the home because she felt guilty about everything all the time. That was her.
And it's not easy. I admire the choice, and I celebrate that we have a choice. It's wonderful that we have a choice to stay at home mom or not to be at home. But I was in both. I was in both. Like I spent about 2 3 years was one of my kids at home, and I was kind of in both situations, and I realized this is harder than I thought. Right. And I've realized that I was so hungry for just that side of me doing the work that calls me in day to day. So yeah, it's such a good conversation. But I do want to go back to your book, Good Mom Rules. How do we get the book? How do our
Yeah.
listeners get the book?
So it is on Amazon, and you can type in my name, Alysia Lyons, ALYSIALYONS. So I have this book and a book about my surrogacy journeys, that's on Amazon. It should be, I mean, if you search for it at target.com, it should be there. So
Uh-huh.
you can pretty much get it anywhere. If you wanted me to send you a copy where I, sign it or write a little note, you can shoot me an email, or check out my website. It has all of my books on there, alicialyons.com/books. So I've written two on my own by myself, and then I was a contributing author to like 6 or 7 different
Yeah,
books.
yeah, yeah. Me
Or
too.
like,
I
I think I'm
participated in the
approaching
6 or 7.
9.
I've done the multi-author, and we've done a few of those in the community, but I have
Yeah,
not done a solo book. So I'm just
yeah.
anyway, I'm just in the process of doing that. It's interesting, but yeah, I'd love for our listeners to get access to the book. So we'll post the links to it, and then we'll post Alicia's website as well, where you can also get a copy. Now I want to move into success, right? So we're talking about mom, which is like I said, it's such a passion topic for me. I can talk about this, like on this topic I can stay for hours. One of the challenging jobs I've ever done, being a mother, one of the hardest jobs, that actually goes all of our life long. It doesn't matter how old our kids are, right? And then yeah, it's but it's also it kind of both goes both ways. Like I cannot imagine myself not being a mom, and I just love them so much, and I just love having this experience, right? For those mothers who are listening to this conversation, what is success to you? How do you think it's important to define, or to be able to define and understand what success is in fulfilling a role of a mother, in fulfilling a role of a mompreneur, in fulfilling a role of a professional, building a career, whatever that is?
I'll answer your question by giving my definition of what success I think you deserve to have a life that you don't want a break from. When we learn English, when we learn a language, we don't sit a person down and say, this is what a house is. We kind of use it in a sentence, or we don't define words for people. You
Yeah.
learn a lot of the times, you learn English through English words. At least that's the only language I speak. You you learn English words through context. Like there's a lot of words where people are like, what does that mean? And I'm like, or my son will ask me, what does such and such mean? And I'm like, I mean, I think it means this. And most of the time I'm right. I didn't learn it from reading the dictionary definition of what the word is.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So,
I love that.
so like,
Yeah.
so a word like success should mean, I'm laughing because I don't like the word,
Right.
um, but it should be defined by you,
Yeah.
because my
Mhm.
definition of success is going to be very different than your definition of success. If my child and my partner and myself and our dogs and our cats, if we're all happy, I feel successful. If we have a roof over our head and food in our bellies and the things that we need and want, I feel successful. If I can work towards those things that we need and want, then I feel successful. If I'm happy inside doing all of that, then I feel successful. Like, those are my definitions of success. And I think where we get into trouble is when I try to achieve your definition of success.
Yes, exactly. And
Yeah.
that's exactly,
Just like
exactly.
with me and
Yeah.
my recruiter from the direct sales company, I was trying to achieve her definition of success. I probably, in the early years especially, would have been a way better mom if he was at daycare. Because of where I was emotionally, I
Yeah.
would have been a
Mhm.
way better mom if he had gone to daycare.
Yeah.
And as an
Hmm.
only child, he probably would have been happier with his friends,
Yeah. Yeah.
with kids to
Yeah.
play with.
Yeah.
But I was taking on her definition of what success is as a mom, or what
Yeah.
a mom should be.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the reason I wanted to ask that question, because I think it's just so important to take it back to us and ask how does it look for me, right? And I
Mhm.
think a lot of the decisions will come from that end of it. Once we are clear on that, and then we can make the decision. I want to also talk about you building your business. So this is Empowered Global Women in Business podcast. We have a lot of women in business from different parts of the world, and I'm so thankful. What is one of the biggest lessons that you would want to share with our listeners today?
I think the most important lesson that I've learned is that I am my biggest asset inside of my business.
Mm,
And so
yeah.
working on me is not a luxury, it's a
Yes.
necessity.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's a
because
great way.
I created a lot of turmoil inside my direct sales business because I was trying to do it their way and trying to do what they want, what was making them successful when they have a different recipe than I
Yes.
do.
Oh, that's such a good one, because we have so many lessons, right? Like it's hard even sometimes to put it into one.
Hmm.
Each day brings a new lesson. Yeah, this is a good one, because at the end of the day, we are its own asset, and we are the one who we can rely on, no one else. And the more we grow, the more we put here. And overall, yeah, yeah, so that's a great reminder. Thank you
Yeah.
for that.
And I'm still
I
in
love
this
that.
direct sales business that I've been in for 14 years. I still love
Oh,
it.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And I was talking to my recruiter, who's one of my closest friends, this morning, and I was getting coffee for my husband and I. And I just asked the lady, I was like, hey, do you want, some skincare samples? And she's like, sure. And so I got her name and phone number, and we just went back to talking, my friend and I. And she was like, that was so impressive. And I said, and we were talking about anybody in our
Hmm.
unit who can't do what I just did, it's because she has a belief that tells her that she's not good enough to do that, or that that person's just going to say no and she can't handle the rejection.
Yes.
If there's anything that you want to do that you can't do, my son loves to argue with me when I say stuff like that, because he's like, well, I can't fly. And I can't learn. And it's like, okay, fine. You can fly on an airplane though. So, um, but if there's something that you think you can't do, check your belief system. Somebody out there is doing the thing that you think that you can't do. And they might even be
Exactly.
doing it with less limbs than you.
Yes. Yes. And isn't this interesting how some of us might think she's not gonna like it, she's not gonna want it, why would I even go there? And so how many of us we put that idea and then we completely shut it down. We are not even giving ourselves that option.
Mhm.
Right? And that is a learning. And I know I learned that too.
If you don't ask, the answer is always no.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you ask, there's a 50-50 chance. So do you want
Yes.
a 100% chance of a no or a 50% chance of yes? Yeah, I just want to encourage you that if you are struggling with guilt and overwhelm and would like to kind of see where you're at and how maybe we can work together to create a life that you don't want a break from, you can go to my website calendar, and it's alicialyons.com/align. And it's a 30-minute call, and we'll see where you're at and create a game plan for you.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Now we're going to move to the rapid fire questions
Okay.
and let me know when you're ready.
Take a drink and then
Yes.
have coffee.
Yeah. Your favorite book name, and this could be your own book. This could be, I know sometimes we know so many great books, hard to remember, but anything that comes to mind, your favorite book name is?
My favorite book name is Creating Little Miracles. It's a book that I wrote, but I thought it like I feel like a genius for coming up with it. So it's like that's my
I
favorite book.
love the name. I love the title. I love
Hmm.
the title.
I love everything about the book. Title, book cover, all of it.
Oh, beautiful. So you have that book on your website as well?
That is also on my website, yeah. The ones that I
Awesome.
wrote, they're at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Love that. Okay, second question, beach or mountains?
I like the beach.
Mhm. Me too. Favorite international destination to visit?
I've only been to one, so I'll just say Toronto, Canada.
Okay, nice. Nice. That's on my list. I haven't been. Or winter.
Ugh, I don't like being hot or cold, so spring.
Okay, and the final question is things that you have discovered about yourself recently.
Oh man, that's kind of hard. Um, I I discovered recently that I thought the goal was to become untriggerable, and the goal is
Mm,
actually to be able to heal the triggers when they show up.
wow, that's a great one. Ah, so can so relate. Can so relate. Thank you.
Yeah.
Love that one. How we change that awareness about the
Mhm.
trigger. And every time we ask, why is this triggering me again? Why is this coming? Wonderful. Thank you. Alicia, thank you so much for being on the podcast today and for this conversation. It's been
Thank you for
wonderful.
having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yes. Same here. Thank you so much. And I will talk to you soon.